into the 70s Film Freak. This is your host, Sarah Reach, and I'm so excited to have you back for another week. Oh my goodness. This past week was not that great for me. I was under the weather, I had the flu, and there was some COVID cases going around at my work, and it's so weird because you think COVID's not a thing anymore. You think, oh my God, we overcame it. But no, it's a thing and it's back every flu season apparently. And yeah, it was disrupting my workplace. And luckily I didn't get it. I just had the flu. So I took some time to rest a little bit as much as I could. But I had a bunch of auditions. Oh my goodness. The film industry is picking back up for like a brief moment in Vancouver. I don't know. I had like more than like 14 auditions this week. It was crazy. So that's really exciting. Hopefully I can book something. As you know, there's like 100 days left, like today, like 100 days left until the end of the year. And whenever it gets down to like the wire like that, I get so excited because I always feel like, okay, let me close this year with a bang. Like, what can I do? What are some goals I haven't checked off my list yet? What's something I can start now that will help me for my goals in 2026? And, what can I do to kind of just like ump up the end of the year so it's like I feel like I achieved the most I could in that year? So right now I'm manifesting some bookings, some TV, some film, and definitely some commercials. Oh my gosh, I want to travel for a commercial. I see now commercials are filming all over the world. It's really been like there's no central place anymore. Like you can say Hollywood and like LA, but I feel like things film way more international than they ever have, and that you don't need to live in LA anymore. You don't even need to live in Vancouver anymore, to be honest, because everything I did was on tape. So I really want to travel. Like, guys, let's manifest something, please. Okay, that's my little catch up of what I was doing last week, and let's get into the review. So today we're gonna be reviewing Saturday Night Fever. Ah, 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 staying alive, staying alive. Oh my goodness, 1977, directed by John Badham, written by Norman Wexler, and starring John Travolta. And he's 23 years old when he filmed this. It's crazy. He kind of has this like look where at times he looks young and at times he looks old, but right now he looks really good. Right now he's 71 and he's looking really good. Like, oh my gosh, aged amazing. Um, so this film, it has a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb, an 82% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 3.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It had a $3.5 million budget, and that's 1977 money. And it earned 94 million in the US and 237 million dollars worldwide. Whoa. Blockbuster success. Like, whoa. Um, yes, let's get into it. So the scene starts off and we see a well-dressed man walking around Brooklyn, New York. Ah, ah, staying alive, staying alive. He's walking around, he gets a $5 pizza. The pizza girl knows him and she asks him, what he wants. He goes to a store. He sees a snazzy blue top in the window. He doesn't have enough money, so he asks to put it on layaway, which is kind of like old Afterpay. And he puts $5 on it, and the clerk's like, "Wait, I gotta give you the receipt." He's like, "No, I don't need it. I trust you." So this opening scene, just like his confidence, the way he's walking, the way he's dealing with the people in the neighborhood, the pizza lady, the store clerk, it shows that he's kind of like this confident young guy, man about town, and he knows his way. He knows his way around Brooklyn, and he definitely does. So some info about Tony. He's Italian American. He's 19 years old. He lives in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, with his family. His mom, dad, grandmother, little sister, and he has an older brother, Frank Jr., who we see later. He's actually a priest and the golden child of the family. And Tony, he feels like a failure. Oftentimes in the film, he calls himself the shit of the family, and I think he suffers from middle child syndrome, which is psychosocial pressures, feeling like overlooked, neglected, insignificant, and this is something that often like middle-born children experience due to their position in the family. And I think he has that to a T. Like he definitely suffers from that, and he suffers from the harsh criticism that's always being thrown at him from his family. Like it's very toxic. And he loves to dance. That's like the most important thing about him. So we see him getting ready. It's time to go to the club. He's taking care of himself. He's getting his stuff together. He's doing his hair. And it's so funny because this scene reminds me of like Jersey Shore. And did anybody watch Jersey Shore in like 2012, 2013? I was in junior high and it was like the show to watch on MTV. It was crazy. But the way the guys would style their hair in Jersey Shore, like comb it up with like tons and tons of gel, that's the way Tony's doing his hair right now. Like his hair looks like Pauly D's hair. Um, yeah, he's doing his hair. He's playing on the jewelry. He's looking in the mirror, make sure he looks good. And then his dad busts in his room. Is like, come down for dinner. He doesn't want to, but his dad makes him come down. And dinner is not peaceful. Oh my goodness, it is rough and full of fighting and yelling and hitting. Basically, the issues at dinner. Tony's mom wants him to come home at 6 p.m. sharp, but he finishes work at 6 p.m. So he's like, I can't do that. So she's mad. Tony's dad feels disrespected by the family because he has no job, and he's a little bit insecure about that. And he doesn't want to, open up about his feelings about feeling insecure about not being a provider. So he's like, okay, let me just like hit my family and like yell at them instead. Um, what else is happening? Tony's mom's upset because Tony's big brother Frank Jr. is a priest and he's too busy being a priest to call her. So she's like, he never calls. Like he hates me. I'm so upset. Um, yeah, and during all this kerfuffle, Tony's hair gets hit by his dad, and he just like he gets so upset by that. He goes, "Would you just watch the hair? I work my hair a long time. You hit it. He just hits my hair." And this just shows how vain and young and immature Tony is because he's like, "Watch the hair." He's not caring about the deeper issues at the family table. He's talking about, his hair. But also, side note, there's a saying that a good hairstyle is like the quickest way to instant beauty. And I believe it's the truth for men and for women. Like, if your hair is like amazing, you just look better. You just look better. So, you know. And what's the saying? A woman's hair is her identity. I wonder if a man's hair is like his identity. Probably not, but hair is important. If you're trying to look good, I would say it goes hair and then face and then clothes. That's the order. But hair first. So let's get to the disco. We open up and we're going into 201 Odyssey. And it's Tony, his friends Joey, Double J, Gus, Bobby C. They're entering the club and they're looking like the head honchos. The crowd is partying. People are like, whoa, Tony's here. It's going to be a good night. Let's get out of the way. Let's make sure that, we say hi to him. We give him a kiss. We flirt with him a little bit. He's definitely like the big man in the club. And this club actually was a real club. It was located on 802 64th Street, Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and it came to an end when the disco era came to an end, it closed, and it was actually demolished in the mid 2000s, and it's now a medical building and Chinese restaurant. I see that because some people will probably want to go visit there and be like, "Oh my gosh, like it's the club from Saturday Night Fever. Let me go check it out." It's not there anymore, unfortunately. So yeah, the friends walk in with Tony and they're all greeted by the club goers. And let me set the scene. The room is smoky from all the people smoking. The club is illuminated with like red and yellow lights, blinking, twinkling lights. The dance floor is all lit up in different colors and it changes colors. And that dance floor is not original to the club. That was actually built by the set for the movie. And I'm pretty sure they took it out for the movie too because that'd be a nightmare to maintain as a club owner. Like that dance floor, oh my gosh. And also just having bright lights from like the floor might not be the best in a club setting because you kind of want a little bit of like darkness and people are drinking and you don't want like too many lights in the club. That way people can like dance like to their fullest. Um, yes. So the club is packed with well-dressed men and women, and these women have beautiful hair. They're looking gorgeous. And this gorgeous, sweet girl walks up to Tony, and her name's Annette, and she's played by Donna Pescow. And she doesn't say anything. She looks at him, and he goes, "What?" "Sure, I'll dance with you, but you're not my dream girl." And she's like, "You want a dream girl? Go sleep and have a nightmare." And they kind of have this banter. So he knows Annette. He's known her for a little while, and she's what he calls a good girl. She doesn't mess around with guys. She, is very faith based. She has a big cross on her neck. But she has a crush on Tony. She likes him, and she kind of hangs around him, hoping that he'll like her too one day. And yeah, so they dance together. And oh my God, they're so good. Tony's twirling her around. They're moving their hips, doing some footwork. Eventually, they get tired and they go sit down. And Annette is standing there at the table, and Tony's sitting down. She goes, "Ain't you gonna ask me to sit down?" And he's like, "No, because you wouldn't do it." And she goes, "But you asked me to lay down." And he says, "No, you wouldn't do it." So it's another sign that Annette is like, she's not down to sleep around with anyone, especially, well, if there anyone, she would sleep with Tony, but she's not sleeping with anybody. So he knows that. He's like, "I'm not gonna even bother flirting with you because there's no chance for me." So the people are dancing in the club, it's all fun, and then the DJ puts on this like Latin type music, and the dance floor clears. Nobody can dance to it. Everybody's like, "Oh, like what is this?" And Tony goes up to the DJ like, "What are you doing?" And DJ's like, "Hey, that girl likes it." And he points to this beautiful girl, a brunette in a white dress, and she's tearing up the dance floor. She's dipping, twirling, swaying, jumping, and sliding all over the place. And he's like, "Whoa, someone in here can dance better than me." And he admires her, and he asks anyone, he asks everybody around to see like who is she, and nobody really knows who she is. But he's like, "Wow, like she's really good." So he kind of like leaves the dance floor to her so she can finish that song, and he goes off to the side. And Annette is talking to him, and she tells him, "Hey, there's a dance competition coming up, and we should dance together because we've won before, and I think we can win again." And the prize money for the competition is $500 for the top couple. And in 1977, that's about $2,600 US. So that's pretty good, for a dance competition, just for one night, one dance to win some money like that. And Tony needs the money because he's putting shirts on layaway. He's putting shirts on layaway, so he needs that money. And he's also, providing for his family, and his dad's unemployed right now. So it's a good incentive for him to compete, but also he loves to dance, and he probably dance in the competition if there was no prize money anyways. So we see Tony and his friends are kind of like they have a car. Bobby sees a car, and the friends are kind of using that car as like a hookup spot outside the club. So they're taking turns taking girls there, and like the schedule gets kind of mixed up because one guy's taking a little too long in the car, and they come and get Tony, and Tony has to like settle the dispute and like get everything back on schedule. And this just shows that they kind of look at him as like the leader of the group. And it kind of showed a little bit at the entry when they walked in the club because he's first and everybody greets him first. And they kind of like hang back a little bit. So I think that this just shows like he is like the leader of the pack, and that like they look up to him a little bit and they look for his guidance and stuff like that. But Tony, he's not interested in hooking up in the car. He's actually just dancing. Like he's dancing the whole night. He's dancing with individuals, he's dancing with groups, he's line dancing. He is just there to dance. Yeah, Tony has a job. So he works at a paint store, and he gets a $4 raise from his boss. And he's actually a pretty good employee because he uses his good looks to kind of like charm the people in the store. And customer service, oh my gosh, it is a skill. Working with the public is a skill because not everybody's friendly, not everybody's understanding. Some people feel entitled, and it's just you have to manage those emotions and those behaviors and attitudes, and it's a lot of work. But Tony's actually good at it, so he gets a little raise, and he's very proud of himself because at first the boss offers him 250, and Tony's like, "Great, thanks." And the boss is kind of looking at him like, "Wait, you're excited about 250? Like, no, I'll give you 3." He's like, "Oh, that's even better, thanks." And he's like, "Wait, you're excited about 3? I'll give you 4." And it just shows that Tony's very humble, about his work, and he's very eager to receive some good feedback. He wants to be told that he's good at something because his parents are always criticizing him, and he feels like the shit of the family. So to be told he's doing a good job at work and get a raise, even if it's just $2 at first, he was so excited for it because he's like, "Oh my god, like I'm actually good at something other than dancing. Like I'm being told I'm doing well and achieving and exceeding expectations." So that was exciting for him. So Tony and Annette go to the dance studio to practice because they agreed to be partners for the competition. And here we see Tony. He's not really like, um playing around. Like he's very much like working her in there, and like he's counting steps, and he's telling her, be technical, fix your posture, and make sure you're, looking clean with your movements. And she's like, whoa, like he's very strict about this. And this just shows how passionate about dancing he is and how much of um how serious he takes it too. So while they're at the dance studio, Tony does spot the beautiful woman he saw that was dancing solo to that Latin song at the club the other night at 201 Odyssey. And he's like, whoa, like, who is that? And it's Stephanie. Her name is Stephanie, and she's played by Lynn Gorney. And she's wearing a pink ballet leotard, and she's practicing alone in a separate studio in the same dance building. And after he rehearses with Annette, he kind of finishes with Annette early and sends her off and tells her to get out of there. And then he goes into the studio where Stephanie is, and he walks in to try to introduce himself, and she brushes him off. She's like, "Please, can you please leave? I'm practicing here." And she obviously noticed him in the club because he's a great dancer and all the women were taken by him. And she probably thought, he came in there to sweet talk her and flirt. And he did. He did come in there for that. But she's like, look, I don't have time for this. Like, I'm a serious dancer. And he's actually shocked that she doesn't want to talk to him because I think he's used to like having all the girls want him and flirt with him and like melt around him. And she's like, get out of here. I'm rehearsing. Go away. Next scene, we see Tony come home, and his whole family's like in the living room, and they're all like so sad, and they look like someone just died. And he's like, "What's wrong?" And he walks in, and no one's criticizing him, no one's yelling at him, so he's immediately alert. And then his dad tells him his brother's here, so he's like, "Oh, great!" He runs upstairs to his room, and he sees Frank Jr., his older brother, and he's so excited to see him. He gives him a big hug, and Frank tells him that he's leaving the priesthood. And Tony's so shocked and confused, and he's like, "Wait, what? Like, what?" And he tells Frank that he's always seemed like so perfect and so together, and that he feels like the shit of the family. And Frank is basically like, "Look, I want to live for me, and I want to do what I want to do, and I'm gonna make decisions for myself." And basically, kind of insinuate that like he was doing the priest thing to make his parents happy, and that it wasn't his dream. And he says to Tony, or Tony says to Frank, "Well, if you ain't so good, I ain't so bad." Meaning that, like, okay, now that Frank has like disappointed the family by quitting the church, that now Tony won't be held to such high expectations. And this is real. It's so real. Like, I hate when parents like try to like compare siblings or be like, why can't you be more like your older sister? Why can't you be more like your older brother? Because it does cause pain, and it causes a little bit of tension between the siblings too, because it just makes it feel like one is better than the other, or like one is favorited, and that's not healthy at all in any kind of family dynamic. But you know what? Tony does have a little bit of a smile on his face because now he feels like, okay, like if Frank is messing up too, I'm not gonna be looked at like as like the crazy failure of the family, and like now I have a chance to do some good and to be seen as um like a good son and like and someone to be proud of. So we see Tony go back to the dance studio to find Stephanie, and the sleazy studio owner tells him her name and that she practices there every Tuesday. And he goes in there and finds her, and she's wearing another pink ballet style outfit, and she's a little flower clip in her hair. She looks really pretty. And he tries to dance with her, and she gives him the cold shoulder. And finally, he's like, "Look, can I take you to coffee?" And she's like, "No, I can't go." She gives some excuses like, "How old are you?" And we come from different worlds. And he's like, "Look, I just want to take you to coffee." So she agrees. On the way there, they're talking about how much she loves Manhattan. And she says, "You have no idea how much it changes over there. Right across the river, it's beautiful, just beautiful. People are beautiful, offices are beautiful, and the secretary shop at Bonwood and Taylor, which is a luxury department store from the 70s. It ceased operations in 2000s. So here's what we know about Stephanie. She loves to dance. She wants to be in Manhattan. She wants to live in the big city. She wants to leave Brooklyn. She definitely has a very strong Brooklyn accent. So you can tell that she grew up there. And she's not that refined in her speaking. So I would say she has a similar education level as Tony. And they look about the same age. She looks just a little bit older, but they're not too far in age. So on the date, so she mentions that she went to go see the film Romeo and Juliet, and Tony's like, "Oh yeah, like based off like the book. Like I read that in high school. It's Shakespeare, right?" And she looks at him like, "No, it's a film." She doesn't know who Shakespeare is. So this just shows like, her education level. But Tony doesn't embarrass her. He doesn't push it. He's like, "Okay, whatever." And then Stephanie goes and she says she wants to order some tea with lemon because in New York City, secretaries drink that and they're just so refined. And she wants to be refined just like them. And, you can see that she's not the classy girl that she's pretending to be or wanting to be or aspiring to be just yet. During their date, Stephanie mentions a few restaurants in the city and celebrities have come by. She works at a public relations firm as a secretary, so celebrities are often coming by in the office and in the lobby. And Tony doesn't really know any of them, but he's so excited for her. He's like, "Hey, far out, that's great." And she's like, "Do you even know these restaurants? Do you even know these people?" And he's like, "No, but it sounds very exciting." And she kind of like scoffs at him, like rolls her eyes. And it seems like she feels like she's better than him. And in this scene, so he orders a coffee and a cheeseburger, and oh my gosh, he's like not chewing it. He just like puts it in his mouth and starts talking, and it's ugh, so gross. Um, but yeah, so Stephanie's behavior just shows that she kind of grew up in Brooklyn, and she wasn't really exposed to many things, and she wants change. She wants to elevate her life. She wants to level up her life, but she's kind of going about it in a very aggressive way, and it's very off-putting. Like, she's very off-putting in this scene to me. I think she's very, like, snooty and snotty and just kind of putting him down a little bit. And yeah. So she tells him, "Okay, listen, we're very different. So here's what we're gonna do. I can dance with you in the competition because he does ask her to dance with him in the competition. I'll dance with you, but that's it. Like, we're not gonna date. We're not gonna do anything like that." And here goes Tony with his mouth full of hamburger. He's like, "Why? Why not?" And she's like, "No. Like, I'm on my way up and I need someone who's going to be on the way up too. So let's focus on the dancing and I'll be your partner, but there's not going to be anything romantic between us." And then Tony's like, "Okay, well, let me tell you about myself, because the whole time she was talking about herself." And he says that, he works at a paint store, and then she cuts him off. And she's like, "Let me guess. You live with your family and you blow all your money on the weekends at 201 Odyssey." He's like, "Yeah." And she says, "You're a cliche. You're nowhere on your way to no place." How rude. But oh my gosh, she really calls him out because she is talking about all her goals, her dreams, and her desire to move to Manhattan to get that apartment, to be one of those beautiful people in Manhattan, and how she's reading all these different books and she's meeting different people and she's now drinking tea with lemon, she's not drinking coffee anymore. She's leveling up herself, and she feels like Tony's not doing anything about it. And he's not doing anything to better himself. And she even asks him, like, "Are you gonna go to college?" He's like, "No." And she goes, "Why not?" And he's like, "I haven't thought about it." She goes, "Well, why don't you think about it?" He's like, "I don't know, I haven't done it yet. Like, I just haven't thought about it." And she's like, "Well, you need to do that." And she's kind of judging him and like pushing him. And I know there's like different ways to like inspire people. And I feel like the way where you're like, "What are you doing? What's going on with you? You need to be better." Like, that kind of way, it doesn't work with everybody. The best way I feel like to inspire people is to be like, "Hey, I believe in you. I see something in you. I see a light in you, and I want you to kind of look into that. I want you to think about, what are some goals and dreams and daydreams you have for your future, for your present day. What do you see yourself doing at your highest level of joy and happiness, and what does success mean to you?" And then encourage them to kind of explore those ideas and think deeper. And then when they tell you what they want to do, keep pushing them. Say, "Okay, you know what? So what's the first step to do it?" So I think that's a way she could have went about it to really inspire him to also leave Brooklyn and improve his life and increase his education and awareness in life and exposure to new and good things. But the way she came across in this date scene, it was just very off-putting. I did not like her. I was like, "Oh my god, she's so mean." Um, and then Tony, he tells her, "The high I get at 201 is just dancing. It's not being the best or nothing like that. I would like to get high, that same high someplace else in my life. So he tells her, dancing, it gives me joy, fulfillment, and it gives me a high. I want that high somewhere else in my life. And if I can find that, then great. But right now he hasn't found it. So he just doesn't know. Also, he's 19. When you're 19, you don't really know a lot of things. You have to kind of live a little bit of life. And through living, that's when the lessons come in. Especially if you don't have like someone mentoring you, like a good parent or a school guidance counselor, or just like someone in your community that kind of like takes you under their wing and shows you different paths in life to achieve quote unquote success and happiness, and exposes you to like new things and encourages you to try new things and improve yourself. So the next scene we see, Tony finds out that his friend Gus is in the hospital, and one of the neighborhood gangs, the Barracudas, attacked him in the street. And the boys, they cruise the streets looking for them, and they even stop by their hangout spot, but they're nowhere to be found. Tony tells his friends to go home and cool off. And this just shows, he's partaking in like the street life. Like why is he kind of fighting with gangs and doing all this stuff? And it just shows how easy it is for kids if they don't have a lot going on or they don't have that guidance to kind of fall into like bad habits and like the bad crowd. So Tony's having dinner with his family, and his parents mention that Frank Jr. was out all night, and they try to blame it on Tony. And Tony tells his mom, "Now you have three shit children. It's all your fault." And she cries. She bursts into tears, and he just feels really upset. He doesn't want to hurt his mom, but he wants to kind of make it known to them that he feels like a disappointment, and he doesn't want to have the blame of them being disappointed in him because of him. He's like, no, you're disappointed in me because of you. And you're also disappointed in Frank because of you. And he's trying to put the blame back on his parents. And it's a very uh deep conversation that they should have, but they're not having it this time. So we're back at the dance studio, and Tony goes um up to Annette. She was waiting outside for him, and he tells her that he found another partner and that the decision was strictly business. So she cries and she walks into the studio to avoid, and he walks into the studio to avoid talking further with her. So Stephanie arrives at the studio. She's 5 minutes late, and she kind of brushes it off. Like Tony tries to like um get at her for it, but she's a way of like kind of like brushing things off and like calming him down and kind of just like, yeah, it's not a big deal. So they start rehearsing by trying different dance styles and showing each other the moves that might work for the competition. And right now, More Than a Woman is playing. I love that song. More Than a Woman. They're both smiling big and enjoying the dance rehearsal, and they have so much chemistry together. And Tony tells her that he likes when she's quiet and not laying all that shit on him, aka trying to motivate him with that toxic motivation. I think it's toxic. So, toxic motivation, and she starts back up. She's like, "Well, I met this guy today. He's so interesting and so educated." And Tony cuts her off. He's like, "Wait, do you think I'm interesting and intelligent?" And she's like, "Yeah, interesting, definitely. Intelligent, maybe." And this is after they had a really good rehearsal. The rehearsal, they're taking each other's lead, they're holding each other's hand, they're looking each other's eyes, they're smiling, and they're moving very good together. They have a lot of um, chemistry, and they're both very strong dancers, and they're both really coordinated, and they're feeling good. So Tony's very flattered, and he's like smiling, and he's like, "Let me walk you home after the rehearsal." And she's like, "Nope." And she goes home on her own. Next scene is they're at the club, 201 Odyssey. So at the rehearsal, Tony did ask her to come to the club so they can practice their moves in front of a crowd and kind of see how it works. And she says maybe. So here we are at the club, and the song "If I Can't Have You, I Don't Want Nobody, Baby" by Yvonne Elliman is playing. I love that song. Tony and his friends, they arrive and they get in there, the crowd parts, and now Tony has actually brought his brother Frank to the club. And this is Frank's first time at the club, and he's like, whoa. And he's so surprised. And he's experiencing the club like VIP style because he's with Tony. And he says it's energizing in there. And one of Tony's friends, Bobby C, calls him father a few times. He's like, "Don't call me father. Am I your father? No." And he's like, "I always hated that." And you can tell at this moment he's really done with the priesthood. Because his parents are kind of saying like, "Oh, maybe it's just a phase. He'll, go back within a week." No, he's done with being a priest. He's absolutely done. So then they're sitting down at the table, and a girl named Connie asks Tony to dance, and it's Fran Drescher from The Nanny. Oh my gosh, she's so young in this, and she's like so cute and so beautiful. And she asks him to dance, and he's like, sure. He goes up there, and they kind of start dancing together, but she's not very good. She's kind of like a limp fish out there, and he's like, look, I don't need this. So he tells her like back up, and the crowd parts. Like the crowd, everybody goes off the dance floor, and it's a huge, elaborate dance scene of Tony breaking it down on the dance floor, and the whole club is watching. Dancing, yeah. He's so good. He's jumping, he's doing all kinds of moves. And Frank and the boys are just watching him, and they were just watching him, and it's like the biggest dance scene in the movie, I feel like. And Frank Jr. tells Tony that he's an amazing dancer and he was so excited to watch him. And while he's kind of watching him dance a little bit, Bobby C is trying to tell Frank about his problem. So Bobby C, he's one of the younger ones. He looks like the youngest one, actually. He's always the one driving the car. He's kind of like a little bit quiet. And he tells Frank he got a girl pregnant, his girlfriend, Pauline. And she doesn't want to get rid of it. And he doesn't know what to do. And could he possibly give permission as a priest for Pauline to get rid of it? And he's like, no, I can't do that. I'm so sorry. And you can tell the way Bobby C's acting, like this is eating him up. Like he is distraught. He's so upset about this. It's like the worst thing that's ever happened. And he just doesn't know what to do. He's so confused. He's so like in over his head. He's like, what can I do? And Frank's kind of like, look, like I can't tell you what to do in this situation. Like I'm done with the church, and you can talk to your own. He tells him you can talk to your own priest about this. And then Frank leaves the club early. It's not really his scene, and he says goodbye to Tony. He tells him he did a great job dancing, but it's not his scene. And Tony understands. He's like, hey, whenever just go home, and it's not your scene. It's not your scene. So then we see Tony and Annette. And so Annette, she's kind of following him around the whole movie. Like, she really wants him. And she tells him, you know what? I'm ready to sleep with you. He's like, you are? She's like, yeah. So they go to the car, and well, they start going at it. And then she's actually like, oh, I don't have any protection. He's like, neither do I. So they stop very quickly. And it's just another scene of Tony being disappointed in Annette and her trying to like win his affection and failing. Then we see next scene Tony is at the dance studio with Stephanie, and he demands to know, where she was on Saturday because she wasn't there. She never showed up. And she's like, "Oh, I said maybe I'd come." And he's like, "Well, you didn't." She's like, "Yeah, I said maybe." Anyways, she calms him down as she does. She has her way of like calming him down. And they have their dance rehearsal. It's all good. It's all great. And then outside the rehearsal, Tony's friends are waiting for them, and they go to White Castle to get some burgers. White Castle does not go well. The friends don't like Stephanie. They say she's a snotty bitch and that they hate her. So then we see another scene, and it's Tony. He's at the paint store talking to his boss, and he's kind of like getting at him. He's like, look, I need like a day off, like today. And the boss is like, no. And he's like, no, I really need a day off. And they start fighting about it because the boss is like, I need you here. And Tony's like, no, I gotta go. I got something to do. And he quits. And the boss is like, well, actually, I'll fire you instead. So he gets fired. And he's like, fine. And he storms out and he takes Bobby C's car. So Bobby C is giving him the car keys. And Bobby C is kind of like looking very like distraught, like even more distraught than usual. And he's telling Tony, hey, like, can I talk to you? And Tony's like, no, I gotta go, like, I'm in a rush. And he's like, okay, can you call me tonight? And Tony's like, yeah, I'll call you. He's like, can you call me tonight? And Tony's like, yeah, I'll call you. And he's like, can you call me tonight? And Tony's like, yes, I'll call you. Like, weirdo. And Bobby C's crying. Like, he's so like he's being eaten up by all this drama in his life, and he's like, Tony, please call me. And this just shows how much he looks up to Tony. And he tells him like, you always have your shit together, and you know you're always together. Like, how are you always together? And Tony's like, I'm not together. And he's like, "Please call me tonight." Tony's like, "I'll call you. It's okay." Obviously, he walks off crying. Tony takes his car, and we follow him, and he goes to pick up Stephanie. Stephanie's moving into her new apartment in Manhattan, and he has her mattress strapped to the roof of the car, and oh my goodness, like, she's finally doing it. She's done it. And so he's helping her move, and in the car, he tells her, "Hey, like, I got fired because of you." And she's like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Yeah, I got fired because, I asked for the day off. They didn't want to give it to me, so they fired me." And she's like so apologetic about it. She's like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know that was going to happen." He's like, "Yeah, no worries." And this just shows how much Tony cares about Stephanie, because the fact that like he's willing to like jeopardize his job, like his job that's supporting the family basically, for her to help her move, it's like, whoa, whoa. So he definitely has feelings for her. Like, he really likes her. So they drive to her new apartment, and they go in, and Tony follows her. And out of nowhere, this like older guy comes down and kisses her. And he's like, "Hey, like, good to see you." And kisses her on the lips. And Tony is mad. His face, oh my God, he's so mad. He doesn't say anything, he just stands there. And the man's like, "Oh, hi, I'm so and so." And he shakes his hand. And Stephanie introduces Tony as a friend, and he's even more mad. Like, he's so enraged. And that guy gets out of the way, and Tony's like, "Who is that?" And basically, she shares that like she met him at the PR agency, and that he was the one that helped her when she first moved to Manhattan. She didn't know how to do anything. She didn't know how to. She knew how to type, but she didn't know how to do like a lot of like office related tasks and just like office general duties, and he kind of took her under his wing and helped her navigate the corporate world and just taught her how to be more refined. And he gave her all these books to read and advice and where to shop, what to do. And he helped her. He really helped her in her process of leveling up her life and changing, to live in Manhattan. And he actually lived with her for a short while too. So I feel like they kind of had like a little bit of affair. um, yeah. And Tony's like, "What? Like, are you serious?" And she kind of breaks down crying because, she's embarrassed. Because in this scene, we kind of see this man speaking to her the same way she speaks to Tony. Like, sh like he feels like she's beneath him. Like she's like this like little girl from Brooklyn. He took under her wing. She's so unrefined. She doesn't know anything. He's like, let me teach her some basic stuff about, having a job and being in corporate America. And like, let me, tell her what to do and like tell her how to act. And like when they first show him in the scene, she's like, oh, he's like, "Oh, I'll leave you all the furniture because I want to start fresh." And she's like, "Oh, super." And he kind of rolls his eyes. He's like, "Ugh, Stephanie, no one says super anymore." So, and she kind of feels like embarrassed by that. So she has this like shame and embarrassment about being with him. Also, he's way older than her, and he kind of worked with her, so it's kind of like suspicious how they got together. And but she feels loyal to him. She feels like a loyalty to him because he helped her so much in her transition from Brooklyn to Manhattan corporate life. So she's crying and she's crying, she's crying, and I think she's crying because she feels like she has feelings for Tony, and she doesn't want him to think less of her. And yeah, she's crying because she's kind of been like found out. Like she's not this like sophisticated, worldly woman that she tries to pretend to be. She's not. She's someone that was very unrefined, that found a mentor in the city and had to kind of like be romantic with him in order for him to teach her everything that she needed to know about corporate life. And for her to succeed in Manhattan, she needed this guy. And I think she was kind of embarrassed by that. And Tony pulls the car over because she's crying hysterically. And they kind of pull over to a park and they sit down and they look at the Brooklyn Bridge. And Tony says that he comes there a lot actually because that's where he likes to come and he likes to think. He gets lots of ideas and he daydreams there. And as he's talking about this and his daydreams, he starts tearing up. He's tearing up in the eyes. And Stephanie leans over and she gives him a kiss. And she kind of just, she doesn't say anything because she knows about those daydreams. She knows about those dreams about, leaving where you come from and getting better for yourself out of life. and she understands him, and they just have this moment of understanding between them, and they sit down and they enjoy it. And it's a really sweet moment. So we see Tony go back to the paint store to talk to his boss, and the boss automatically offers his job back. He's like, "Don't even worry about it. Like, I can't lose you, Tony. The customers love you, and like, you know, I have for life employee." And he points out two employees that have been with him for over 18 years each. And Tony's like, "Oh," and in his face, you can kind of see like he's really overjoyed that he was welcomed back with such open arms, and that his boss values him so much and the customers love him, and that he's good. He's good at being a paint store salesman. Um, but he doesn't see in his daydreams, in his ideas, him being at that paint store. And you can see in his face like, "Oh, it's great that you want me back and everything, but 18 years, I don't know if I want to give you 18 years of my life." So then we see Tony go to the dance studio once again to rehearse, and I guess he's a little bit late, or Stephanie came early because she's dancing with this sleazy studio owner. And the studio owner, he always cracking jokes about how he sleeps with all the girls and how he has like 69% success rate of, all the girls that come in that he sleeps with. And he's very flirty, very touchy, and they're dancing very harmless. Like they're just dancing, partner dancing, twirling around, and Tony comes in there and he freaks out. He's like, "What's going on?" And Stephanie's like, "Oh, we're just dancing." And he's like, "I can't believe you. You disgust me." And he storms out. When he storms out, Annette is there. She's waiting for him. Here she is again. And she shows him that she got some condoms. And he's like, "Look, Annette, I don't care." And he walks away. And it's just this, I call this scene love gone wrong. Because now Tony, he kind of feels a little bit insecure because he realized that, okay, so Stephanie had a romantic partner in Manhattan that helped her, transition from Brooklyn to Manhattan. And, who knows who else she's willing to date or, befriend in order to achieve that level up she wants to achieve in life. And here's a sleazy studio owner, now he's all over her, and I think he's feeling like protective and jealous. And they're not dating, they're just strictly dancing together, and they both agreed to that, so he doesn't really have a right to be jealous, and that's where that anger is coming from. And then with Annette, he's kind of just over her because she's like kind of always around him. And I feel bad for Annette because she just wants love and she wants that romance, but she's going after the wrong guy. She really is. She's focused on someone that likes her. So then we see a scene at night. Tony is cruising around at night with the boys, and they're scoping out the spot of the Barracudas, that Puerto Rican gang in New York. And they see them at their local hangout spot. And they're like, "Okay, the Barracudas hurt Gus. They put him in the hospital. They attacked him. We need to get, our own revenge on them in order to, avenge Gus a little bit and make him happy and show them we love him and we care about him." So they see there's like six of them in the hangout spot, and there's only four guys in the car. So they're like, okay, well, 4 to 6, it might be a hard fight. So Tony tells them to pull off in the car and just like drive a little bit just to think. And Double J grabs the steering wheel and he hits the gas and he steers the car right back to where the Barracuda hangout spot is. And he just puts the gas, and it's like a glass, it's like a big glass kind of door, and he just rams in there, and a fight breaks out, and it's a knife fight. And Tony and Double J and one of the other guys, they're fighting. There's three of them fighting, and Bobby C and the young one who got his girlfriend pregnant, he's in the car. He didn't get out of the car. All the guys jumped out of the car and they started fighting right away. And Bobby sees in the car. He's so scared. He's like shaking. He's hits his hands on the wheel, and then one of the Barracudas tries to get at him, and he reverts the car back out and he drives away because he's not gonna fight. So there's just the three boys against six, and then the boys realize the fight's it's getting too rough. It's getting too much, and they can't take it all. So they run out of there and they're looking outside like, "Wait, where's the car? Where's the getaway car?" And luckily Bobby C, he turned around, he came back, and they get in the car and they drive off. But oh my gosh, the tension in that car. Everyone is like beaten up, bloodied, broken nose, uh bruised eyes, and Bobby C's just fine. Like they're looking at him like, "Where were you? Like where were you during that fight?" And during the 1970s, there was a lot of hardship economically, and there was an influx of gangs in New York, mostly black and Hispanic, like the Barracudas, and mostly young people. And this fight is very similar to some of like the turf wars they had, and some of the crime that was going around at that time. So the boys go to the hospital and they see Gus and they tell him, we fought for you. We kind of, we got a hit in for you, and Gus is like very happy about it. But then he's like, oh, um, yeah, I'm not sure if it was actually the Barracudas that attacked me. And they're like, what? And everybody's mad about it, but Bobby sees like the most mad. And this pisses off Double J because Bobby C's like, how can you not know who hit you? And Bobby C's like, I could have killed him, referring to Gus. And Double J is like, you couldn't kill a lice or something like that. And he's very much annoyed that during the fight, Bobby didn't fight. Bobby kind of just stood around and he drove the getaway car, but he didn't get any hits in and he didn't fight for the group. Also, that scene we see a telegram, and Tony's father is going back to work, so that's great. And he's dancing around. He's like, okay. His mood is instantly boosted by having a job again. So that's one thing that's a relief. And Tony says, what? I'm not going to contribute anymore to the household as much as I have been. And his dad kind of brushes it off, but I think he's serious about that. I think he's serious about like putting money aside for his own savings, for his own future, and that he's not gonna, continue to fund the family if the dad's working. So now it's a day of the dance competition. And Tony arrives with two of the guys, and Bobby C is not with them. And he's wearing a sharp white suit. He's looking very handsome. I'm actually shocked how good John Travolta looks in this film. At times he looks bad, but at times he looks good. He has one of those faces. Anyways, Stephanie's waiting outside for him at the door in a soft white ruffled dress. She looks so beautiful. And there's four judges, and the dance floor is clear. Each couple will go one at a time to perform, and there's three prizes: first, second, and third. So the first couple is a beautiful black couple. They have white and gray outfits and afros. They're dancing in a swing, funky disco style, and he's throwing her in the air, bumping hips, twirling her around. Very good. I give them 4 stars. The crowd boos, but the crowd's kind of on Tony's side, so you can't take what they say. You have to take it with a grain of salt. Next is Stephanie and Tony. So they do a sophisticated ballroom style partner dance. They're technical, they're neat, they're on beat. They have a lot of eye contact and soft touching between them. Tony dips her and then picks her up to spin her around, and they share a passionate kiss. Took my breath away. I thought it was so cute. I got butterflies for Stephanie. I don't love them together, but this seems very cute. And I was like, okay, that's really cute. And they just the way they look in each other's eyes and the way they're holding hands, it was all very sweet. In the background, Annette is drinking and doing some drugs, and she is kind of like drowning her sorrows, and she's very annoyed and she can't stand it. And then we see the last entry, which is a Puerto Rican couple, and the man is wearing a black suit with a red shirt. The woman is wearing a sexy red dress. The slit goes up to her waist, basically. And she has a red leotard underneath and gold heels and a flower in her hair. And she's long black hair. And the crowd boos when they come onto the dance floor. And Double J shouts, "Wrong neighborhood." Also, the crowd is very like grouped up. Like the Puerto Ricans are on their own group, the Italians are on their own group, and then the black people are on their own group, which is not good. It should be that everybody should be mingling, but everybody's kind of like in their own groups and watching and cheering for their own people. And so they start the routine, and it is hot. It's a mix of disco and Latin, and they are jumping, and it's sensual with a lot of flair, and their movements are quick, and you can tell they're very good technical trained dancers. They have footwork. They have, the man is jumping, winding his hips, rolling his neck. The woman is doing quick footwork. She's shaking her hips. She's rolling her body. She's doing tricks. 5 stars. Absolutely amazing dance. They're so good. And Tony's on the floor. His mouth is on the floor. He's looking at them like, whoa. And he says, Jesus Christ, they are so effing good. So then the awards. So the third couple to win was some random couple we never saw dance. And second couple is the Puerto Rican couple, Caesar and Maria. And even though they placed second and the crowd was booing, they accepted the trophy with a smile on their face and they seemed genuinely happy, which speaks a lot to their character. And in first place, this is a quote from the DJ who was the head judge. He says, "In first place, the coolest, the Fred Astaire of Brooklyn, the boogie woogie man, the man that gave you the coolness, the hotness, everything you wanted. He was hot. He was right on. Tony and Stephanie." And the room erupts with applause. Tony's not happy. He's not happy at all. His friends congratulate him. He's like, "Be quiet. That's so fake." Everyone can see that those couple, the Maria and Caesar, the Puerto Rican couple, were better than me. And he goes up to them. He hands Maria and Caesar the trophy and he shakes their hand, congratulations. He grabs Stephanie and he hauls out of there. He's just so annoyed because he doesn't want to win if it's fake. He wants to win on his own merit. And anyone can see that him and Stephanie weren't as good as that couple, and they deserve to win, but they didn't win because they're Puerto Rican. So the next thing we see Tony, he's really upset. He's kind of like fighting with everybody. He's fighting with Stephanie. He's fighting with his friends, and he's just really really annoyed. And he fights with Stephanie, and she actually ends up running away because he gets really aggressive with her. And then he sees Annette with his friends and he gets mad because she's clearly very very drunk and not within her right mind, and the friends want to take advantage of her and they actually stop him. They push him down. They're like, "You don't care about her, so why should you care about this?" And they end up later attacking her in front of him. He doesn't stop anything about it and he doesn't even try to help at all, and she is clearly, being a victim in the situation, and he doesn't do anything to help her at all. And at this point, like, this film gets very dark, and I need to say consent is very important, and that even an uneducated simpleton like Tony should know, and that there's no excuse for the next scene with Annette at all. And I will say with Annette and with Tony just sitting there and like kind of like not doing anything to help her at all when he could have helped, if you're not actively fighting against something, you are condoning it. And he should have stopped his friends by all means necessary. So after those dark scenes with Annette, they get to the bridge and the guys are all drunk. They're fooling around, and everybody's kind of just messing around. And all of a sudden, Bobby C, he starts climbing the bridge, and he's acting very hysterical, and he's laughing, and he's crying, and he's completely out of his mind. And he's telling Tony, "Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me." And at this point, the boys realize that Bobby C's situation with Pauline has gone so extreme, it's caused him like borderline hysteria, and he doesn't feel like he has any options. He kept telling them, "Guys, I'm getting married. I'm getting married. They're forcing me to get married to her. I don't want to get married. They're forcing me to do this. They're forcing me to do that." And he's young. He doesn't know how to navigate the situation. And he tells Tony, "Why didn't you call me? Where were you? I told you to give me a call, and you didn't call me." And so many times he tried to talk to Tony about it, and Tony didn't want to listen to him because he had his own things going on. And at that point, Bobby he's drunk, he's hysterical, and he ends up slipping off the bridge, and he falls in the water. And everyone is just shocked. Next, we see Tony talking to the police, and he says, "There's ways of killing yourself without killing yourself." And that's basically what it was. And even though Bobby C could have had other options, it didn't feel like that to him. And Tony knew that. The guys get in the car and then Tony starts walking off and they're like, "Tony, what are you doing?" And he just goes. He just gets away from them. He can't be around them. He ends up taking the train all night to get to Manhattan. And he gets to Stephanie's apartment and he begs her to let him in. And she's like, "No," after their fight last night. She doesn't want to talk to him. He's like, "No, please let me in." And he tells her that he's done. He's done with the street life. He's done with Brooklyn. He's done with his family. He's done with his job. He's done with all of it. And that he's ready to start putting work towards those ideas, work towards those dreams, work towards those daydreams, those goals. And he wants to be like her. He wants to get the apartment. He wants to get the job. He wants to improve himself. He wants to better himself. And she's like, "Okay, I'm going to help you, but I'm going to help you as a friend." And he's like, "You can be my friend?" She's like, "Yes." "Can you be a friend to a woman?" And he's like, I'll try. And they agree to be friends and support each other. And I truly think that Bobby C's untimely death, it changed Tony because it showed him where he might head as well. Like he was on the same path and it shocked him to want something different, want something more. So my final takes of this film, I gave the acting 10. Great t- great storytelling, and also the actors felt very real. Annette, Stephanie, Tony, his parents, Double J, they were all very real people, and they all came with a real story and a real intention, and they're all fighting for something very real and something very different. Everybody had their motive, everybody had their background, and the actors did a great job of bringing those characters to life. The music, 10 out of 10, great music. Oh my gosh, I feel like there's so many iconic songs in this movie, and it's so much fun to dance to and listen to. And the movie gets kind of dark at the end, but I feel like the music kind of keeps it more um, light, but it definitely is a drama. Like the genre is a drama of this film, but the music's great. Cinematography, I give it 7. Brooklyn, New York, it's all very good. I wish there was more like scenic shots and more artistic shots, but the shots that we did see were really great. And I love the club scenes and the scenes of Tony, on the streets walking around and just the dancing. So I give it 7. Fashion, I give it 6. I think everybody had a great style, but I think they played it very safe. I wish they kind of pushed the boundaries of the wardrobe a little bit, but I think they were kind of going for like that real look, and everybody had their own real individual style. Each character had their own looks, and it fit for that character. But I wish they would have pushed it just a little bit more. Writing, I give it 7. I liked the writing. I liked every character felt very true, and what they were saying, it felt like it was their truth. But I wish they would have just did a little bit more. I don't know, just a little bit more with the writing. I felt like there were some moments that they could have got some really good quotes in, some really good um punchlines, something like that, some jokes. I don't know, like there is room to elevate it even more. So I give it an 80%. And my favorite quote in the film was when Stephanie looks at Tony and she goes, "You're a cliche. You're nowhere on your way to no place." It's very profound. And a lot of people are actually in the same situation. And I feel like if they are in the situation, they can listen to that and be like, whoa, that's me. I'm Tony. I need to get somewhere, someplace. So yeah, that was my review of Saturday Night Fever. Ah, 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 ah. Staying alive, staying alive. Let me know what you thought. This movie has some like mixed reviews, but mostly people really like it, and it's definitely a breakout role for John Travolta. Like, whoa, breakout role for him. And I'd say it's an overall good film. It gave it 80%. And yeah, if this was a little bit rougher than usual, it's because I'm still a little bit sick. And I'm excited for next week. Next week, it's going to be Star Wars, the first one in the 70s. So that's going to be really exciting. Let me know what you thought about this movie and this review. Leave some comments, review, and share on my Instagram and Facebook. And I hope to see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.